All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Allison. I have the comments on. So again, if you guys have any problems hearing me or if there's any issues with the camera flipping, I know we had some issues a couple days ago. So I've just been trying to keep the camera upright instead of switching it. So my feet might get cut off, or at some point my head might get cut off. But I think that way it's not as confusing for you guys and on your screen. So anyway, this is our intermediate flow. So just a chance maybe a little bit more of a challenge, kind of get moving a little bit more. If at any point in time you need a little break, you always have that option of going into child's pose. You can just even sit for a second. I'll try and give you guys modifications, but again, you always have that option of just making this your own and kind of modifying or making it harder as you choose. So it's up to you. All right, let's just go ahead and get started in a seat. So hands can just rest on those knees, sitting up nice and tall, eyes closed down. That's, we'll soften those shoulders. Think about those the points of the shoulder blades coming down and together. That chest is lifted. Let's take that big breath in through the nose. And exhale, open the mouth, side out. Again, big breath in. Exhale, open the mouth, side out. And last time, big breath in. Now we'll keep the mouth closed. Still make that sighing sound, but breathing out through the nose. A little bit more forceful breath. Big breath in, holding that breath in through the nose. And pressing that breath out through the nose. Into that ocean-like sounding breath. Or if you prefer that Darth Vader sounding breath, so just big breath in. That sound on the way out. So it's that sound that you can really focus on throughout this practice. It's going to help to warm the body. It's that sound to focus on just to keep you present, you in this moment. And now we'll reach those fingertips out to the sides. We're going to flip those palms as we reach those arms up nice and tall. And then exhale, we'll twist it over to that right side. And inhale, bring it back to center. Reach those arms up. Exhale, twist it over to your left side. But inhale, reach those arms back up. And that gentle side stretch over to the right side. Inhale, bring it back up. And exhale it over to your left side. And inhale, reach it back up. Exhale, draw those elbows down. Interlace those fingers behind the back. Draw those knuckles down towards the ground first, then maybe bring those hands away from those hips. Going to go ahead and release those hands down to the mat. Coming onto those hands and knees, we're going to move through a few cat-cows. So on that inhale, drop that belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we gaze up. Exhale, we're going to round the spine, press the shoulder blades away from each other, drawing that belly up and in. Good, inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone, look up. Exhale, round. Good, inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round. Good, inhale, lift. Good, exhale, round. Okay, now we'll bring it back to neutral spine. So we want to keep those hips right above those knees. Walk those hands forward. Spread those fingers out, really gripping those fingertips and palms into the mat, pulling those forearms towards each other. And then just soften that forehead down towards the ground. So stay really active through those arms and then soften that chest and forehead to the mat. Go ahead and lower onto those forearms. shifting that weight forward. So we're coming into that forearm plank. So the belly is nice and tight. We're squeezing those legs together so the legs are really strong. The abs are nice and tight. That chest is pulling forward. And then the shoulder blades are pressing away from each other. So we want that nice straight line from the shoulders to the hips, down to those toes. Let's go for 3 and 2 and 1. Soften those hips down, point those toes. We'll draw those elbows back as we lengthen out through that crown of the head, through the top of the head, to the top of the head. Now again, we don't want to lift our chin up so much. We want to think about pulling the ears back a little bit and gazing towards that top edge of your mat. One more breath. And soften that chest down. Slide those hands to the right underneath the shoulders. Curl those toes under. Start by lifting those knees up off of the mat. Then we're going to press. Try and lift the hips, shoulders at the same time into a plank, and then hips up to the sky into that first downward facing dog. So take your time here, pedal it out, bending one knee, pressing that opposite heel down towards the mat, just stretching those calves, loosening up those ankles, maybe a little stretch to those hamstrings and hips. And now we'll inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees as we look forward, stepping those feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, sliding the hands up the shins into that half lift. Exhale, slide those hands down as we fold. And inhale, we'll bend into those knees as we come all the way up to standing. Reach it up nice and tall, but exhale, side stretch over to the right. Inhale it back up. Exhale it to the left. Inhale, reach it back up. And exhale, forward fold. And inhaling, sliding those hands maybe up to those shins or at least to the ankles. Nice flat back. Then exhale, plant those hands, stepping those feet to our plank. We're going to go into a side plank, so dropping the heels to the left. Right arm reaches up. Lower that hand down, dropping the heels to the right. Left arm reaches up. But exhale, lower both hands down. Shift that weight forward as we lower. Good. Inhale, lift. And exhale, send those hips up and back, downward facing dog. And 2 more breaths here in our down dog. And then inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, step those feet, top of the mat. Inhaling that half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale it back up. Exhale it to the left. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, fold. Flat back on the inhale. Exhale, plant those hands. Step or hop it back to our plank. Side plank, heels to the left. Right arm reaches up. Exhale, lower that hand down. Other side, dropping the heels to the right. Left arm reaches up. Lower the hands down, shifting that weight forward as we move through that vinyasa. Inhale, lifting that chest up, tiger cobra. And then exhale those hips up to the sky. Downward facing dog. And now we'll inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees, step those feet top of the mat. Inhale the half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale it back up and side stretch to the left. Inhale it back up and exhale, fold. Inhale that flat back. Exhale, plant those hands, step or maybe hop those feet back to plank, dropping the heels to the left. Right arm reaches up. Exhale, lower it down to the other side. And lower the hands down, shift it forward, vinyasa. And exhaling those hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Okay, now we'll come up onto the toes. Bend into those knees, step or float those feet top of the mat. Inhaling the half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we're gonna rise to standing. And exhale, sink those hips down to our chair. So that core is nice and tight, back is nice and flat. Drop those hips down as low as we can. Keep breathing. And now bring those hands to heart center. We're gonna rise up. As we do, we're gonna lift that left leg up, flex that foot, hugging that knee up to the chest. And then we'll cross that ankle over, setting those hips back into that pigeon, that figure four shape. Dropping those hips down nice and low, nice flat back. The more we hover that chest over that leg, the more we're gonna feel that stretch through that left outer hip. And staying with that balance. Ooh, we're gonna rise up, bring that knee to our chest. We're gonna send that foot back. So try not to lower it down like I just did. Hips square off. I don't think you can see it, but my toes are pointing straight down. There we go, hands are to heart center. Run that warrior three. We're holding it here, we're breathing. We're squaring off those hips. We're gripping our right toes into the mat, lifting that left leg up, trying to get that heel in line with those hips. Then big step back into that warrior one stance. Inhaling those arms up. So hips will square off. Right hip pulls back, left hip pulls forward. Really pressing that back heel into the mat as we bend into that front knee. And then we'll draw those elbows down. Interlace those fingers. Open up through that chest. And exhale, fold. So bring that right rib cage to the right inner thigh. Maybe that shoulder comes all the way down and touches that knee. And then we'll release those hands as we rise back up. And exhaling those hands down to the mat, stepping that foot back. If you want that little extra challenge, keep that leg lifted as we lower. Inhale, lift. And exhale, hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. And now we'll inhale it on the toes. Bend into those knees, step or float those feet. Top of the mat. Inhale the half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise. And exhale right into our chair. Sink those hips down nice and low. Maybe we get those thighs parallel to the ground. And now bring the hands to heart center as we rise, bringing that right knee to our chest, flexing that foot. Now we'll cross that ankle over, sitting those hips back. Maybe we hover that chest right over that shin, big stretch through that right outer hip. And then we'll rise back up, pressing that foot back. And squaring those hips off. Trying to lift that heel up. And keep breathing. Just gazing down, finding that still spot on the ground to look at. Help you with your balance. And then we'll take that big step back into our warrior one. Arms reach up, back heel is grounded down. Toes are turned out just slightly. Bending into that front knee. Now we'll draw those arms down and release those fingers. Open up that chest and exhale, fold. Just to your degree. So maybe that chest is just hovering above that leg. There. Maybe you work that shoulder all the way down towards that knee. Maybe you're somewhere in between. And now release those hands as we rise back up. And exhale the hands down. Sending that foot back again. You can keep it lifted for a little extra challenge. Lower down. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And now inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, step or hop those feet, top of the mat. Half lift on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise to sink. Exhale, sink those hips down to our chair. And now bring the hands to heart center. We're gonna lift that left leg up, flex that foot, pulling that knee up as high as you can to the chest. Now cross that ankle over, sink the hips back into that pigeon, that chair pose, that chair pigeon. Good, inhale, bring it back up. And without lowering that leg down, press that foot straight back, squaring those hips off, and pointing those toes down. Now this time we're gonna reach those fingers forward. So now we're making that big capital T, curl it in, drawing the elbows back, drawing that knee to the chest. Inhale, extend it out long. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it out. Last time, curl it in. Inhale, extend it back out. Now lower that back heel down as we come into our warrior one. And now draw the elbows down, interlace those fingers, big chest, and then exhale, folding into our humble warrior. Now inhale, we're gonna rise back up. As we do so, we're gonna straighten that front leg. Okay, now we're gonna lower the hands down. We're gonna lift that left leg up into our standing split. So flatten out that back on the inhale. Exhale, fold, walking those hands back. So maybe that right hand reaches for that right ankle. Maybe that left hand reaches for that ankle. A lot of balance, gripping those toes, feeling those muscles of the feet. Okay, now we're gonna take a big step back into a warrior two. Let's see, so you guys can see me here. So the right toes are pointing straight forward. Left toes are pointing towards that long edge of the mat. So the back edge of the foot is parallel to that back edge of the mat. Okay, tee out those arms, bend into that front knee. You wanna pull that rib cage down, pull that tailbone down, drive that knee out. We wanna see that big toe. So that knee is right in line with that second toe. Soften those shoulders down. Maybe sink a little bit deeper. And we'll lower that forearm down as we reach that right or left arm up over our head, gazing up underneath that arm. And now inhale, we'll rise back up, straighten that front leg, flip that palm, reach it up and back. And now we'll re-tee out those arms. So you guys can see me. We're gonna re-bend into that knee, lower that hand down a couple inches in front of that foot. We're gonna go into a half moon. So we're gonna lift that left leg up, opening up through that hip, reaching that left arm up towards the ceiling. Really active, really in both legs. So not only are we gripping those right toes into the mat, strong through that leg, but we're really pressing through that left heel. And now as we lower that foot down, we're gonna lunge, side lunge into that left knee. Breathe here. Here we go. So we want to try and keep that left heel down. Chest is up, back is flat. And then walk those hands back to the front of the mat, planting that left hand, twisting right arm reaches up. And lower that hand down, stepping that foot back to our plank vinyasa. And exhale, those hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. So now inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, step those feet, top of the mat. Inhale the half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise. And exhale, sink those hips down into that chair. And bringing those hands to heart center as we rise up, bringing that right knee to our chest. Flex that foot, pull that knee up as high as we can. Now cross that ankle over. Sink it back into that figure four. And inhale, we're gonna rise back up, press that foot back. So we're in that warrior three, hips are square. Finding that balance here. Now we're gonna reach the arms forward. Okay, that giant capital T. Now exhale, curl that knee and draw those elbows back, crunch. Inhale, extend out long. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it out. Last time, exhale, curl it in. Inhale, extend and out nice and long. Then we'll lower that back heel down. And inhaling those arms up into that warrior one. And exhale the arms down as we come into that forward fold. So in for the humble fold. And exhale, fold. Inhale, release those arms. We rise back up. Straighten that front leg. And fold, lifting that right leg up into that standing split. So we can walk those hands back. So again, maybe that left hand reaches for that ankle. Maybe the right hand reaches for the ankle. Finding that balance. Now we'll take a big step back into a warrior two stance. So right toes are parallel. The right toes are facing the long edge of the mat. That foot is parallel to the edge of the mat. Left toes are pointing forward. So again, we want to be able to see that big toe right inside that knee. Reach those arms out long. Big deep bend into that front knee, working towards sinking down, getting that thigh to be parallel to the ground. Now we'll lower that left forearm down as we reach that right arm up and overhead. Big side body stretch. Inhale, we'll rise back up. Straighten that front leg as we reach that arm up and back. Good, now reach out those arms, bend into that front knee. Here, adjust it so you can see. We're gonna reach that hand forward, a couple inches in front of that foot. Back leg is gonna lift, open those hips up, and then reach that right arm up towards the ceiling. Find that balance, really reaching up with that right hand, pressing through that right foot. And now take that big step, coming right into that side lunge. So lunging into that right knee, chest is lifted as hips sink down. Good, then walk it back to the front of the mat, planting the right hand. So we're gonna come into that lunge, back knee is lifted, and then twist. The left arm reaches up. Let's lower that hand down, stepping that foot back, and moving through vinyasa. And exhaling those hips back just into, oops. 1 second. So we'll go into a child's pose. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Let's see here, and we're back. Good. Okay, so just hang on in a child's pose, just catching your breath. And then come back up onto hands and knees. Go and step it back to a plank. Bring those hips up into that down dog. Now come up onto the toes. Bend those knees, stepping those feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale that half lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, we're gonna rise to standing. Reach it up tall. Exhale, we'll sink those hips down into that chair. Okay, bring those hands to heart center. We're gonna lift that left leg up, cross that ankle over. Sit those hips down really, really low. As low as you can. The flattest back you can get. Keep breathing. Sink those hips down maybe a little bit lower. And then maybe you start to lower those hands down to the ground. You can straighten that standing leg, just folding over. Trying to keep that back as flat as possible. So try to lift that tailbone up a little bit higher. Slowly bring those hands back to heart center. We're gonna lift that knee up. Again, sending that foot back into that warrior three, reaching those arms forward. Again, 3 times. We're gonna crunch it in. Send it back out. Exhale, curl it in. Reach it back out. Last time, curl it in. Reach it back out. Good. Now keeping those arms up, we're gonna draw that knee up to the chest, turn that foot out, and then we're gonna come into that tree pose. Okay, so if you wanna reach down, grab that foot, bring it to that inner thigh. You have that option. And just try not to have that foot on the knee. Either have it right above or right below. Turn and face you guys. I'll be opposite. And then if you want to reach those arms up towards the ceiling, maybe even gazing up towards those fingertips, staying with that breath. And then bring those hands back to heart center. Bring that knee forward, extend that leg out, and lower that foot down. Reaching those arms up, let's go right into that other side. Sink the hips down into that chair. We'll bring the hands to heart center. Okay, we're gonna cross. We're gonna lift that right leg up, cross that ankle over, sit those hips back. Again, bending into that left knee. Drop those hips down as low as we can, nice flat back. And drop those hips down a little lower. Keep flexing through that right foot. Stay with that breath. And lower those hands down to the mat, straight knee, that standing leg, that left leg. That lifting that tailbone up, flattening out that low back as we float. Good, now slowly bring those hands back to heart center as we come back into our chair. Good, now we're gonna uncross, bring that knee to the chest, pushing that foot back as we come into that warrior three, so extending those arms forward. Exhale, curl that knee in. Inhale, press it out. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, press it out. Last time, curl it in. Extend it back out. Good, now keep those arms up as we bring that knee to the chest, turn that knee out, and then we'll come into that tree pose. So again, if you wanna grab onto that foot, bring it to that inner thigh, you can, and we can reach those arms up nice and tall. Maybe gaze up to the ceiling, to those fingertips. Really strong through that standing leg. And now bring those hands back to heart center. Bring that knee forward, extending that leg out. Then lower that foot down. Inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, fold. Flatten out the back on the inhale. And exhale, we'll plant those hands down. Step or hop those feet back to our plank, moving through that vinyasa. And exhaling those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now we're gonna bring that right knee to that right wrist. Foot's gonna come across. And then slide that left leg back. Start to lower down onto those forearms. If you want a little deeper stretch here, you can always walk those forearms over to that right side so that chest is hovering over that knee, or even kind of collapsing on it. Maybe you hold this for just a few moments, and then you can always go back to center. And then come back onto those hands. Go ahead and send that leg back to our down dog. And let's go to the other side. We'll step that left foot or the left knee to the left wrist. Foot's gonna come across, sliding that right leg back. And when you're ready, lowering down onto those forearms. Again, for that deeper stretch, you have that option of walking those forearms over to that left side, hovering that chest right over that knee. Big stretch to that left outer hip. And bring it back to center. We'll slowly make our way back up onto those hands. When sending that leg back into that downward facing dog. And then we'll make our way onto our backs. So you step or hop those feet through. Just roll it down as fast or slow as you like. We'll hug both knees into the chest. Just give it a little rock from side to side. Now we'll stack those knees right over those hips. Bring those arms out to that field goal position. Then we'll bring the knees over to the right side. We're just gonna hover them. Inhale it back up. Exhaling the knees over to that left side. Again, just hover. Inhale it back up. Again, one more time. Each way we'll hover. Use that core, bring it back to center. Over to the left side. Over. Bring it back to center. Now this time, you can drop those knees all the way down to that right side. Keeping that left shoulder grounded down. And then bring the knees back to center. I'll drop those knees over to that left side. Right shoulder stays down. Now bring those knees back to center. And lower those feet down. Arms can just be by your sides. You're gonna press into those feet, lifting those hips up. So think about scooping that tailbone up, pulling that rib cage down, that back flattens out. Really feeling this in the glutes, the hamstrings. You can even press into your heels and think about pulling your heels kind of back towards your glutes. You'll feel those hips and hamstrings, your glutes and hamstrings fire a little bit more. Lifting those hips up a little bit higher. And slowly roll those hips down, hugging that right knee into the chest. The left leg extends out long as we twist that knee across. Right arm can reach out for balance. Bring that knee back to center. Let's switch sides, hug that left knee in, right leg extends out, and we'll twist. Yeah, bring that knee back to center. Go ahead and hug both knees into the chest. We'll round that spine as we bring the forehead to the knees. We'll extend those legs out, reaching those arms overhead, that full body stretch from the fingertips all the way down through those toes. Big, big reach. And exhaling those arms down by the sides. Palms will face up. Shoulder blades will relax. We'll pull together so they lay nice and flat. The legs and arms can come as wide as is comfortable. Just be in that position that you can completely relax. Yourself feel really heavy, really supported by the ground. Just be here in this moment, this relaxed, quiet space. Begin to deepen your breath. Just begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Reaching those arms overhead for that full body stretch from the fingertips all the way down through those toes. And then hug those knees into the chest. So you gently roll over onto that right side, letting that right arm support the head. That left arm just falls in front completely, resting on your side. And then press yourself into that comfortable seat. Legs are crossed, just sitting up nice and tall, just staying here in this space for a few more breaths. And just being aware of that breath on the inhale, the sensation of the breath on the inhale, that sensation of the breath on the exhale. Inhale those arms up overhead. Palms will meet as we exhale those hands to heart center. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a great evening. Namaste. And hopefully I see you all tomorrow, Tuesday, tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. All right. Thanks, guys.